Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passager. Passager's annual poetry contest closes April 15th. On this episode, poems from past poetry contests. We'll start with Susan Jo Russell's Hearing Cards Shuffled on the Train from New York to Boston, from Passager's 2001 poetry contest issue. When I was 8, I learned from you the feel of the stiff edges letting go. My card-sized hands fumbled, thumbs struggled for control, but I practiced and I grew. I remember the intakes of breath and the slow peek at a brand new hand, the anything can happen of drawing a card from the deck, the exquisite moment of pretense before announcing, "Go fish!" And one day I did it, like a professional, you said, falling one by one, gathering speed like wings of hummingbirds, a perfect interlocking blur. I hear it again, a few seats ahead. It might be anyone. It might be you, close in the rattling night, dealing a hand or two. Susan Jo Russell's Hearing Cards Shuffled on the Train from New York to Boston, from Passager's 2001 Poetry Contest issue. Next, two poems about medicine, sort of. First, from Passager's 2009 Poetry Contest issue, When the Aspirin Bottle is Empty, by Joyce Lemers. Pain can be gentle, a soothing friend that comforts and sustains. Welcome the old companion with whom you can relive the moments of your life, the day-by-day erosions you've survived. Let twinge of stiffened knee, unsteady heart, nudge missing parts together, reminding of a time when you were whole, connecting all you were with who you are. When the Aspirin Bottle is Empty, by Joyce Lemers. And this from the 2010 Poetry Contest issue, by Liz Abrams Morley. My doctor prescribes potassium pills. Or he says, a banana a day, and I'm seeing my long-dead mother each time I reach for the fruit she taught me to eat to settle a roiled stomach. How often she'd say she was herself allergic to bananas, though yellow, the color of optimism, was the color she craved each spring. Yellow forsythia, yellow sun, yellow on a mild fruit she once called toxic, my often silent mother. Now yellow warblers blur past my streaked kitchen window. A goldfinch dips, flies off. All gray winter, mother in her room, face to a white wall. I learned to nourish myself. My doctor prescribes potassium pills, by Liz Abrams Morley. Liz was an honorable mention in the 2010 contest, but 10 years later, in 2020, she was Passager's Poetry Contest winner. Here's a poem from that 2020 Poetry Contest issue, Kudzu, by Joyce S. Brown. Kudzu has taken over my street, covering trees on either side, high wires heavy laden. When I drive beneath, I'm sure those wires will crash to the hood of my car. I will die. My husband will marry a woman who wears makeup and plays bridge. My dog will bite strangers. The house I love will be sold to the strangers my dog has bitten. They will tear it down and build one they like better. I will be part of the great Om, at one with the universal spirit, aware at last that there is no stopping the world's kudzu. We all belong to it. Kudzu, by Joyce S. Brown, from Passager's 2020 Poetry Contest issue. Also appearing in the 2020 Poetry Contest issue was a poem by Jean Esteve. Passager published one of Jean's poems in its first Poetry Contest issue back in 1992. In her 2020 submission letter, Jean referred to her early publication, quote, back in the 1990s when I was still a twerp in my 70s. Here's that twerp's poem, titled Short Poems, from Passager's first Poetry Contest issue. Your cousin mentioned that you wrote poems. What kind of poems would that be? Asked he. What kind? You know, what sort? Oh, Short, I said, very short. I write short poetry. If I stand up straight, I reach just 5 feet. I try very hard, therefore, to keep the heap of words within my reach. Well, that's a relief, he said. Short Poems by Jean Estive from Passager's first poetry contest issue, published in 1992. The 2021 poetry contest closes April 15th, and unlike the IRS, we're not extending the deadline. For details, go to passagerbooks.com and click on Submit at the top of the page. To subscribe to Passager or to learn more about Passager and its commitment to writers over 50, go to passagerbooks.com. You can download Burning Bright from Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and various other podcast apps. For Kendra, Mary, Christine, Roseanne, and the rest of the Passager staff, I'm John Shore.